Hello, hello. Whoa. Let me just adjust things there. Okay. Hello, Sylph Dominic Hawkins here, coming to you live from a shaky stool on this Wednesday. What is the date? Oh, Wednesday the 19th of August, 2020. Whoa. I'm going to move onto the ground. It's going to be much nicer. Oh yeah. This is Wednesday night. This is our Hoshinden Qigong. Oh my God. Wednesday night Qigong and meditation video. Now, for those of you who joined me on Friday just gone, we had another podcast interview, which was really good fun. I really enjoyed that with one of my teachers. I'm still planning lots of those, so I'm having lots of fun contacting, students, colleagues, friends, peers in the study, and just sort of opening up the discussion and getting some of their input, which is really fun. Now, I said last week that we were going to move just bam head on into the microcosmic orbit, so that's what we're going to rock onto tonight. This is like session 18 or something. I'm starting to lose track of these Wednesday night sessions. So there's so much work. Like there's 17 previous hours of this. There's more than enough for beginners to walk themselves through and to continue practicing. Don't make the mistake of thinking that, I did the listening to the sounds I could hear and now I'm ready to move on to the really advanced stuff. Because really that's all that there is. Like on a really deep level. Those are the methods that'll just take you as far as you want to go in your experience of meditation. The difference is that I present, we don't just kind of launch into the use of that and really specific observation of sensation. I walk people through it in the previous videos very diligently, lots and lots and lots, just as my teachers did. So what we're going to do tonight, as I started last week, we're going to do just a quick little rehash of the 5 sense observations, just to get us in the mood, and then we will dive headfirst into the microcosmic orbit again for tonight. So if you're comfortable or if you're uncomfortable, just finding somewhere, you can have your eyes open or closed. I want you to begin by listening to the sounds that you can hear as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out. As you start to allow your breath to stretch your body. And the inward breath, in through the nose, down into the belly. Breathe in so that it stretches your ribs. And you feel it stretching the back of your kidneys, opening up your chest, and then out through the mouth. On the inward breath, tongue rests on the top of the mouth, behind the top 2 front teeth. Breathing in and out. Just letting the breath shape you, shape your chest cavity. Okay, so now I want you to focus on the sounds that you can hear. We'll just do this over 3 breaths. So listening far away. What is the furthest away thing that you can hear as you breathe in through the nose, down into the belly, and out through the mouth. And again, cycling the breath. What can you hear? Outside, far away. Now we're going to take our attention close to the body. So the sounds that you can hear right up, maybe within 30 centimeters of the body or so. Eyes open or closed, breathing in and out. can you hear very close to the body? The sound of the breath. And one more breath. So the sound of the breath should have been deafening, incredibly loud when you focus on it. Now moving right up, so we're asking our impossible question again. Can you listen to the sound of hearing itself? So we're listening to sounds at the eardrum, listening to the eardrum. You're breathing in and out. Don't make the mistake of listening to sounds. I want you to listen to the eardrum. And just resting the focus on the audible sensation there. Okay, moving on to the sense of smell. We'll look at the olfactory experience, breathing in and out. In through the nose, down into the belly, stretching out the ribs and then outwards through the mouth. Exhaling through the mouth. As you breathe in and out, what can you smell in the surrounding space, in the air around you? Scents and fragrances in the air. Now changing your focus so it's closer. What can you smell very close to your body? So your clothing or within a little radius of you again. Breathing in and out. And now moving our attention to the actual inside of the nose and up, through the sinus and the back of the throat. Can you smell the smell receptors themselves as we breathe in and out? And just relaxing the focus on the sense of smell. Before we move on to taste, just noting what you might be able to experience, what you should be able to get a glimpse into, is that when we were listening far and listening close and listening at the eardrum, smelling in the vicinity of the room, smelling close or smelling the inside of the body, there was no particular difference to the action that the body was taking. So the smelling, the air's coming in and going out and coming in and going out through each of those layers. The difference was in the mental engagement. So it's all about how the mind engages with these experiences of sensation. And then how that leads us to create a picture of the world in our mind, and we extrapolate onwards from there, Identity, the world around us, a 3D picture of like a map of causality, really. It's worth just getting a little note that if you change slightly the lens and the area that you're looking at in your sense observation, you drastically alter the interpretation of the information. That can lead you to realizing that maybe you don't actually know all the answers. You know, the line that you thought you treaded down that was very, very secure is great, but it might only exist at one layer. When you take that back and you look at these different experiences, listening far, listening close, listening at the eardrum, there are different experiences at each of those points. And again, the questions that meditation asks us, specifically from Buddhism, from Mahayana and Zen as a Japanese interpretation of that, it's not, can you hear cool things, or can you hear the car outside? It's, what can you hear? And it's a very simple question, but it's unanswerable. Because as soon as you go to answer the question, your attention on the subject causes a division of information into subcategories, and you start to realize that there is actually more depth to what you're hearing than you first perceived. And you continue listening, like, oh, okay, well, I'll just listen more. And suddenly the world just opens up. And it does this in all 5 of the senses. So we've looked at the audible sense, the olfactory sense. Now we're going to move to the sense of taste. So I want you to start, eyes open or closed, breathing in and out. As you breathe in, it often helps to exhale slowly. You can exhale through the nose for this one if you need. And taste the tastes in the air around you. And that might seem like a strange request. If you need to for this, if you really want to hone in, you can breathe in on the inward breath as well. And kind of, attempt to draw in the air and the fragrances and the aromas in the scent. Now, there might be lingerings of, the taste of the floralness of a cup of tea, or flowers. The aroma of flowers in the air can often have a taste to them. There can be a sweetness in the air. So I want you to observe, what can you taste in the air? Okay, now I want you to move that observation to the inside of the mouth. Taking 3 breaths. What can you taste on the inside of the mouth? Breathing in and out. Again, exhale through the nose if you need for this. Two more breaths. Final breath. All right, and now taking our attention to the tongue. So I want you to taste the tongue with your eyes open or closed as you breathe in and out for 3 breaths. What can you taste when you taste the tongue itself? You put your attention on the taste buds, the back of the tongue. What can you taste? What does the tongue taste like? Final breath, in and out, tasting the tongue. All right, so hopefully before we move on to the next sense observation, you're able to get that weird experience where it's like you're attempting to use the tongue to taste the tongue. You realize that the tongue is the reference for taste. So the tongue doesn't have a taste. Yeah, that the mouth has a taste, but the tongue itself is neutral. The tongue can't have a taste and be a reference for what tastes different, because anything that it tastes will just be what the reference for taste is. Same as if you're smelling, the smell receptors themselves, they're the reference for smell. So they're the reference for anything other than whatever the neutral smell is of the smell receptors. Maybe the smell receptors have a smell, and we are so used to them that they just become the reference, and therefore the reference is just normal. You blanket it out. You can't even perceive it. Other things are referenced against it. So now we're going to move to the experience of sight. So we're going to just stare. You can either do this with your eyes open or closed. If they're open, you're just going to be staring out beyond the items, beyond the walls. I'm interested in you bringing your peripheral vision into play. If your eyes are closed, ignore the back of the eyelids and the phosphors and the patterns and the geometry and the shapes. Just peer through that as if you're looking beyond the eyelid, but your eyes are closed. And again, you'll notice this curving of the lensing from the peripheral vision. As you breathe in and out, and you just stare into oblivion, allowing your peripheral vision to come into focus. The question, it's good to remind ourselves of the question again. The question is, what can you see? 3 breaths, in and out. Don't know about you, but I get negatives of the colour of the objects in front of me, which are always interesting. The black things in front of me flicker between white and a dark black. Okay, now we're going to move that focus really close. I'm just with my eyes closed. So now I am going to look at the inside of the eyelid. I'm interested in the colours and the projection of geometry onto the back of the eyelid. Do 3 breaths, breathing in and out. Again, the question is, what can you see when you're looking very close? Just letting the breath fill your belly and stretch your ribs, stretch your kidneys. One more full breath, stretching the ribs, stretching the kidneys. And now we're going to take our attention to the actual tissue of the eye. Can you see the tissue of the eye, eyes open or closed? So we're not interested in the things that are the stimulus, we're interested in the actual receptor. Can you see the eye? Just like can you hear the eardrum? Can you taste the tongue? Can you see the tissue of the eye? So 3 breaths, off we go. Two more breaths, breathing deeply down into your belly. One more breath. And just relaxing the focus on vision. With the breath, it's really well presented in Chinese medicine. Chinese they talk about the kidneys grasping at the qi of the lung. So the kidneys reach up and consume and drink from the fullness of the breath, and often there's that discussion about the satisfying breath, when the breath is full and the body stretches. The breath is very satisfying, like I yawn. Pardon me. It's every week I've yawned in these videos. Too relaxing. So when you're breathing, I want you to breathe down into the bases of your ribs and stretch open. And it's it might require some effort on the inward breath for a while, but eventually you'll find that if that becomes your practice, it will become more and more autonomous. Now we're going to move to the final of the 5 sense observations. We're going to look at the tactile sense. And I like to use this one for the last. You can do this in any order, by the way. It's making up the order. It's probably an order based on the stupa, the 5 forms, but it would be a hell of a stretch for me to bring that into these videos. And if any order, it would be based on the idea of progressing observation in a direction through the body, up or down. But I won't get into that now. So we're going to have a look at the experience of the tactile sense, the nervous system responses. I'm sitting on the ground. I don't know what you're doing. If you're floating in midair, this isn't really going to work. But if you're anything other than that, if you're affected by the gravitational experience of the Earth, then you're going to have a part of your body which is in contact with the ground directly, and you're probably going to find pressure there. So I'll use that pressure. I always use that to start off. It's very easy. And I'm sitting in Seiza, so I can use the front of my legs. It's very simple. I've got this observation of pressure. So you decide where the sensation of pressure is and where your body meets the ground, and we're going to focus on that sensation, the actual sensation. I'm not interested in the ground or in that the bones in your legs or anything like that at the moment. The actual sensation of pressure, the texture of pressure. All right, off we go. Breathing in and out, stretching down into the ribs, letting the kidneys grasp at the chi of the lung. Observing the texture of the pressure sensation. All right, now we're going to shift our focus to an actual area of the skin, no bigger than a 5-cent piece. Really big 5-cent piece. 5-cent piece. 5, 20 cent, I don't know. I keep saying different things. Hone in on an area of your body that you can isolate the actual tissue that's meeting the ground, even if that's through a chair or you're standing on a ledge or something, or through a shoe or whatever. I want you to focus in on the tissue itself. We're going to observe the tissue. So breathing in and out. So I've chosen a little section of tissue on my left leg that's in contact with the ground. And I'm curious about the tissue sense, not the texture of pressure anymore. 2 more breaths. All right, now we're going to move to the last little layer. I want you to focus on the experience of the clothing or the ground or whatever it is that tissue is touching against. I want you to see if you can get a sense of the feeling of the object, but not the leg. So in my example, is it possible for me to experience the sensation of the carpet, but not the skin on my leg, or not the pressure? That's the question. So we're going to breathe in and out. And I don't know about you, but automatically I can feel this almost like perceptual shift in my mind. It's hard to describe. It feels like it's got density. Like there's an actual rotation of something, maybe a different area of the brain or a different connection, a different way of thinking about something. And just relaxing there. All right, so we've just blown through the 5 sense organ sensations. Let me check the time. It still took half an hour. Crazy. I'll have to do that for like 1 breath each next week. Now we're going to move on to the microcosmic orbit. So we're going to start with the face. No one cares what you choose. Yeah, you have to start somewhere. You need something to begin with. So if you're still new to this, you might find the actual flesh on the front of the face is very easy to start with, because you can scan a sense of tingling or whatever, or muscle movement that can help you lock into a reference for that sensation. if you've been doing this for a while, I encourage you to start looking up the top of the head, the top or the crown of the head. And if you're looking for something in particular, you could start with possibly like muscle sensation or the actual skin and the hair. Otherwise, just imagining that part of the head, and just through keeping your focus there in your imagined picture at the top of your head, just start to observe whether any little tingling sensations occur. If you start to find that there is some feedback of maybe, itchiness or heat, or you swear you can feel your hair growing out the top of your head at that exact moment. All the NLP practitioners. All right. None of you will get that joke. That's a joke from 20 years ago with some colleagues of mine. All right, breathing in and out. Just going to start, whether you're at the top of the head or the face, somewhere up here in the head. And we're going to take a full breath in and a full breath out, and keep focusing on the sensations of the head. And then another full breath in. And then on the exhalation, like a waterfall, we're going to just drain down the body. And I want you to follow the path down the body. So sometimes I imagine that I have like a pencil and it's drawing a little line down my body. And my goal, and the goal for the black belt students, is to hone in as much as possible to the high level as possible of engaging the tactile sensation of all the skin and tissue on the journey down to the feet. So we'll breathe in and out. Still observing the head. Now breathing in and breathing out, water falling down the body or penciling down the body, so that at the end of the outward breath, you are in the feet mentally. You're thinking about your feet, ready for the inward breath at the feet. Now let's just stay at the feet for a little moment. We'll do a couple of breaths at the feet. So whether it's like the toes or the toenails or the ball of the feet or the heel or the arches, whatever, the tops of the feet, the ankles, the bones, just pick something and dwell there mentally. And very quickly you should be able to bring some vibrational experience, some nervous system feedback to that observation. Really, you want to re-engage your mental ability to actually internalize information about the body. It's all there, yeah. If there's tingling in the feet, that didn't just magically appear. That's obviously been going on for probably the entire time you've had feet. Okay, now we're going to do a full breath in and out, and then another breath in, and then we're going to do the journey up the body. So breathing in and out. And a big breath in. And now on the exhalation, drawing up the body, black belts, as much detail as possible, up to the face or the head. As you highlight certain areas of the body as you go. Ready for the inward breath at the face. So we're going to just do one more of these little cycles, and then we're going to start the loop. This is just getting us into a habit of reference. So now we're going to go back to the face or the head, take 2 full breaths, just focusing on the head or the face until the sensation builds, breathing in and out. And again. Now we're going to breathe in and out, down the body all the way to the feet. Off we go. It drains through the body. Ready to do the inhalation at the feet. Now we'll do 2 more breaths at the feet, focusing on the feet. Experiences, sensations of the feet. You might get little shivers, little chills up your spine. That's fine, it's normal. All right, let's take 1 more full breath in and out. Now half breath in. And exhaling, drawing up the body, drawing this little pencil line back up to the face. Ready to inhale at the face or the head again. Okay, so now we're going to start, rather than just doing these little catch-up breaths, we're going to breathe in and just melt down the body, finishing the inward breath down at the feet. And then we're going to breathe out and we're going to drop the body, finishing the outward breath at the head. And then we're going to breathe in and we're just going to start this slow but continual cycle of breath and observing tingling or sensations or nervous system feedback through the body mentally. So as we start at the face, I'm going to breathe in, and as soon as I start breathing in, I'm going to just do my little waterfall experience, my pencil experience, dropping that observation all through the body, the torso, the legs, down to the feet. And then as soon as I breathe out, all the way up the body, front or back doesn't matter for now, up the body and then back to the head. Off we go. Ready? So been breathing in, should be drawing down to the feet by the end of the inward breath. Now the outward breath, straight away drawing up the body, back up to the head. Breathing in, drawing down the body again. Should be at the feet now, breathing out, drawing up the body. And cycling, breathing in and down. And out and up. And in and down. This takes a lot of mental gymnastics, so don't worry if you keep kind of getting confused, just stick with it. Breathing out and up. And in and down. And out and up. And in and down. And out and up. Now we're going to count the breath over 4 beats. Breathing in and down to a count of 4. In. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, count in your own mind. And breathing out, count in your own mind. Breathing in, count in your own mind, drawing down the body. Breathing out, count in your own mind, drawing up the body. Continuing. Use the counting to help just stage the breath so that you can have time to focus and do the mental work required. Now we're going to breathe in and draw back up the body. And now we're not going to go to the feet. We're going to breathe out just down to the perineum. So the base of the torso and the trunk, in between the genitals and the anus. Right, that very directly under the spine. to that point, and now breathing in and up the back of the body. Oh, I think I've lost count. Get back into our cycle. That's why I was breathing out and up. So now we're going to breathe in and down, not to the feet now, but down to the perineum, to the pelvic floor area. I'm breathing in and up. Now you're going, staging your breath, counts of 4. It's okay if your breath is different to mine, you stick to your own rhythm. Now instead of this little pencil drawing up, or this waterfall, I want you to replace it with a ball of a coloured light, your choice. And I want you to trace the ball down and up in the breath cycle. So that it's this little coloured floating ball that you're just orbiting around the periphery of the trunk of the torso, aligned with the breath. And in your staging your breath, doesn't have to be 4, I've just pulled a number out of the air. Perfectly normal if you get little shudders and shivers up your trunk, up your spine. Or if you suddenly start hearing like tinnitus, it's all good. Just ignore it, just focus on the breath cycle and the microcosmic orbit. If you study different forms of yoga, you'll be very used to this. This is just like a form of pranayama. And developing your skill in this activity is as simple as slowly getting better at being able to experience the sensation of the skin and the nervous system sensation all the way down and all the way up. It doesn't just jump from head to perineum to head. You can actually get little glimpses, maybe the head, down the face, only the cheeks, the tongue, the throat might stand out in sensation, and then a little bit of a scratch on the chest, and then down in the bones of the hips, past the front and the groin and the pelvis, and then the musculature of the pelvic floor and the perineum, and then up the back, and then a tingling up the spine, the back of the neck, and the top of the ears. So what I'm suggesting is that it might start for you with just like little jumps. So rather than just being head, perineum, head, it might be like head, ears, tongue, hips, perineum, lower back, ears, head. Like it might be quite dramatic, but just keep at it. And your goal, if you want to increase your skill in this, is to make it as smooth as possible. Can you actually draw a line from the top of your head all the way to the bottom of your trunk? And can you experience some kind of nervous system sensation in every little quanta of tissue that you move through? By which time your breath might have slowed down to 32 counts per breath, and you might have slipped into some kind of trance. But it's beautiful work. There's no rush. You can do this as slowly as you want. So that was a breath of 15 counts. You just pace yourself along. And all the while there's just this orbiting occurring, this little floating ball in your imagination. And it's highlighting and drawing your attention through the body and the skin. And it can be on the outside of the skin, it can be in through the bone structure, it can be inside into the organs. There's lots of things to play with. And I'll check the time. All right. So that activity, that's all you need to do between now and next week. Sit down, get yourself into that mood, into that habit. If you need to, explore the 5 senses initially, and then get yourself into the pattern, the microcosmic orbit. And it might start with quite an active breath, and then eventually it will just soften into a good rhythm. And you'll notice that you're taking big strides with your breath. Long breaths in and long breaths out. And that's the basics of the microcosmic orbit from the tactile sense. Ha ha! Got you. Some of you at home are saying, but wait, we explored 5 different senses before. Why are we only doing this with 1? Good question. Thanks, Bill. So, you can do this exact activity with all 5 of the senses. Really hard, but really quite unbelievable and profound an experience. You can start at the head, and once you get into this cycle, this experience, microcosmic orbit rotation, you can engage the audible sense. Not so much what does it feel like in a tactile sensation, drawing up and down the body in the orbit of the trunk. What's the audible sensation of that orbit? Yeah, the audible sensation of the orbit. So you begin listening, and you realize that you're listening up high, and then your listening descends, and then you realize you're listening. Sounds strange, I know, but you're listening low. You're listening down at the base of your trunk. And then you draw your listening back up the body. And you can get glimpses into a sense, almost like if the interpretation of audible information had a weight to it, that there was a density and a buoyancy that were constantly in flux, audibly. It's a strange, I don't know the words to put to that. You can do that for smell, and you can probably try it for taste, and for vision. Man, that has got to be the hardest. It's like, can you observe your attention looking forward, staring into nowhere? Can you observe your mental focus on vision as it travels up and down? So it travels from center vision down through the peripheral vision and then out, and you've got your eyesight fixed out on a point of reference, but you've got your mind engaging in information gathering of different levels. It's a lot of fun, a lifetime of work. Now, to just go on, you can feel free to do this in the background while I talk as well. Just get into the habit of that. I've been mentioning the last few weeks, and then I had the Friday night discussions on the private Facebook group where I was talking about Dr. Glenn Morris and about his work and how he was the founder of Hoshinden Jutaijutsu in America, and how it is that Hoshinden came to be through myself and my teachers, who they were, etc., etc. One of the things that I had talked about on the Friday night session, I can't remember if I mentioned it on the Wednesday session, was about how one of the key, the core interest in Hoshin is around taking a martial art vehicle that you wrap around the interest and the goals in the Kundalini development of an individual, and that the martial arts is the vehicle of those experiences. It's a vehicle towards and for, but also a vehicle to utilize those experiences. So it plays both roles, before and during and after. So Dr. Morris has this comment about enlightenment in his work, in his books. He states that, to his perspective, enlightenment is a biochemical phenomena. So it's a biological experience, and it's when effectively the human being is able to connect the groin and the perineum and the pelvic floor area to the brain, and use the energy of the body, and use the jing, the natal jing and the postnatal jing, use that for thinking, so that you can think with potency and think with creativity. And then you start to get into the discussions of martial arts in terms of strategy. How do you think outside the box? You put on fresh eyes. How do you do that unless you are capable of allowing yourself to look for information in different places other than what you're just habitually used to? And so it's not surprising that these kinds of meditation practices were also passed down along with lines of family lineages of martial arts study that were military strategists, and combat strategy. It makes total sense. You pass down the method, and you pass down the actual physical implementation as well. So that you hand someone an alphabet, but you also teach them how to use it. I think I'll just leave it there for tonight. It's probably a good place to pause. Good luck in your work with that over the next week. Eventually I'll remember where the camera is and not keep looking all over the screen. And I hope you'll join me on Friday on the Facebook group for this Friday night Hoshinden philosophy and theory chit chat. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a good Wednesday night, Thursday and Friday, and a good weekend if I don't see you before. Bye.